Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shadow at Night. This is Friday, January the 10th. Time's flying by, isn't it? 2025. The El Nino is upon us, so it appears as though it's going to be a lot colder for many Canadians for the rest of this winter and a lot more snow. So that's something we have to look forward to. Yay. And maybe it's climate change. Maybe that's it. You know, the fire in Los Angeles is climate change. All the Democrat politicians, all the liberal progressive politicians in Canada and the United States have been tweeting up a storm about Los Angeles being a climate disaster zone right now. Of course, we know that's not true. They have arrested an alleged arsonist down there. And I think the People actually did that. The People. It was a citizen's arrest. They found the guy throwing Molotov cocktails into the bush in Malibu, I think it was. So we've got a story like that coming up. Also, Karen Bass, remember the interview we played for you last night? She's the mayor of Los Angeles, and it wasn't really much of an interview. It was somebody standing there with a microphone saying, "Do you have anything to say to the people, Madam Mayor? Do you have anything? Would you like to apologize for your handling of this situation?" She did not say a word. Did you know that she was being considered as the vice presidential candidate for Joe Biden 4 years ago? It's true. And she's also a trained Marxist, trained under, apparently, Fidel Castro himself. Yeah, we've got that story coming up. Also, there's a new poll out from Abacus this time. I don't pay attention. People say, "Hey, Shadow, what about the Ecos poll? What about the Ecos poll?" That came out yesterday, too. I don't pay any attention to Ecos because Frank Grimes is the owner of that company. He's a lifelong liberal, and he's got a vendetta against conservatives. And his results yesterday showed the liberals at 26 or 27% and the conservatives at 40%, when every other poll is showing the conservatives at 45 or 46% and the liberals down there with the NDP at 19 or 20%. So pay no attention to Ecos at all. He thinks, this Frank Grimes guy thinks, well, the liberals still have to be behind, but I can make it look better for them. Honest to God, I believe that's what goes through his head when he publishes poll results. I don't even think he does the poll. He just pulls it out of his ass. Let's see here. Conservatives 39, liberal is 27. Where do you get these numbers from, Frank? Who are you speaking with exactly? So David Coletto, who is an honest pollster, he runs Abacus, and we've got their numbers coming up for you in just a second. Also, Mel Gibson was on Joe Rogan yesterday or the day before. I think the show came out yesterday, but they recorded the day before. And Mel even points out during the show, during the recording of that show, that his house is right in the fire zone and it could be going up as they're speaking. And guess what happened? It did. It did. Mel had a few things to say. So did Joe. And we've got some excerpts of that show. It's 2.5 or 3 hours long. You can find it on YouTube or you can find it on Spotify, obviously. We're going to give you a boiled down. And in the 3 segments I chose from that episode, that Joe Rogan episode, it goes from early in the podcast to middle and then towards the end. And you can see Mel getting more and more comfortable with the things he wants to say. At first, he was kind of like, well, you know, I think that. And then he really starts to open up about halfway through because Rogan is just kind of like that. He's just kind of like that. He puts people at ease, which is the sign of a very good interviewer. The Shadow at Night live stream is brought to you, as always, by CanadaNanoSilver.com. CanadaNanoSilver.com. Is your face looking a little ragged lately? Mine is. I use this stuff every day. Silver Biotic, and it's not helping. At least not yet. Not yet. I've only been putting it on again for the last week or so, but the results better start showing soon. Silver Biotics Facial Serum. Why Silver Biotics? It contains the power of silver cell technology, hyaluronic acid, and organic vegetable glycerine. For best results, use it, twice a day. That's my problem. I've only been using it once. Morning and night. Contains natural ingredients, leaves your face feeling smoother and more resilient, helps to protect your face, give you a radiant, youthful glow, naturally promotes healing, and with silver salt, to even your skin tone and possibly reduce any blemishes that you might have. It helps to bring back firmness and elasticity to your face, visibly reduces the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles on your face as well. No synthetic colors, no phthalates, harmful sulfates, no gluten. It's all vegan, safe for all skin types, even sensitive skin. It is the facial serum, the Silver Biotics facial serum from CanadaNanoSilver.com. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.com for retail locations. Obviously, you can find them on the retail locations tab. And if you would like to become a retailer yourself, or you have any questions about the products at all, you can get a hold of Kevin and Anna through the contact tab at CanadaNanoSilver.com. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.com. I'm going to Rumble. First tonight, I'm going to Rumble because I don't want to forget you guys. Hello, Crivier. Amnesty is watching tonight. Esky Dog's Chicken Hair. Mouth of the South. DAA 1980. Who else is here? Is it a thin crowd? Uniacke from Nova Scotia is here. Is it a thin crowd on Rumble tonight? Only 333. Come on, you guys. Let's get with it. Like and share. Patricia 0711. Wayne from What's Up Canada is watching tonight. By the way, Wayne's show, What's Up Canada, that goes at 6 o'clock Central every night, 7 o'clock Eastern if you want to catch Wayne. And he's a Monday to Friday like I am as well. Hello, everybody, and thank you for being here on Rumble tonight. Over on Facebook and X and YouTube and ShadowDavis.com and Twitch and what else have I got there? Telegram. Who is here? Let me see. Ellen, Wanda, John, JJ, Mike, Diane's in Regina. Hello, Diane. Carla, by the way, thank you for the information. We have information on the sentencing of our Coots 3. I'm going to get to that in just a couple of seconds. Ron is here tonight. Tracy Hopo is watching on Vancouver Island. Kim, Elaine, Sherry, Dan, Angela. Hello, everybody. Do not forget. You know what I'm going to say, but I feel as though I need to say it anyway because some of you still need a reminder. Don't forget to like and share. Get this out there to as many people as we possibly can. All right. Thank you very much for that. Post from James Sowery and Carla as well. Thank you tonight, Carla, for getting me this information. So James writes on his Facebook, okay, so I'm back at the Freedom House in Coaldale, finally sitting down to reflect on today. Marco Van Hugenbos, who's been on the show a couple of times, has been sentenced to, now these are the guys who are the purported organizers of the Coots blockades. And Marco has even come on the show and said, yeah, man, I did it. I shouldn't be going to jail, but I did break the law, so I guess I deserve to be doing this. Marco got 120 days incarceration, which will be held at LCC Lethbridge Correction Center. James goes on to say, now, I'm not saying this is what he is going through right now, but I'm pretty sure it'll be the same process I went through, which is after the judge states his sentence, Marco gave a wave goodbye to the supporters in the room, and we all yelled, "We love you." From there, he was escorted out of the courtroom through a side door where he'll be placed in handcuffs and shackles and taken downstairs, which they have steel bar cells to hold him till his paperwork is finalized from the courts. At this point, he'll be placed into a paddy wagon, taken to Lethbridge Correction Center where he'll be processed. They'll take all of his personal belongings and vacuum seal them and store them. This includes his clothes. From there, he'll be x-rayed and strip searched. And in my opinion, James says violated, but I guess that's the process. Once he is processed, he'll be placed into segregation and locked up for 23 hours a day for a couple of days to make sure Marco is safe to go into general population. He'll be given orange Crocs and blue coveralls until he can order himself grays, which is a sweatshirt and sweatpants. He'll be placed in a unit with multiple inmates and have to bunk with another inmate. I pray his roommate is decent. The meals he'll get will make a man go hangry, and it will take about a week to adjust. Well, it was for me anyway, James Sowery says. This is where we, the people, can help support by funding his canteen and giving him phone packages. We'll have to wait till we can get his ORCA number. This man stood up for us all, and it's our duty to help support him back, especially in this unjust time for him. I will update more when I find out his ORCA number and where people can donate and help. George Jansen has been sentenced to 90 days, conditional sentence, which means he'll be going home tonight with some very strict conditions until his sentence is complete. The judge took into account that George has 8 kids and a is the lead provider for his family. And Alex Van Herk, his sentencing has been adjourned until February 10th, where they'll set a sentencing date in March with his new counsel to represent him. James says all three of these guys need support. So like, share, follow for updates. That's James Sori on Facebook if you want to follow him for all of that information. Carla Mannix as well. She's been digging around for the information. So thanks to both of you guys for getting that to me so I can get it out to everybody. Okay. I'm going to do all the political stuff early in the show tonight. Get that out of the way. And then we're going to get to the Los Angeles stuff. And I think we have a new left-wing version of Tiana Truthseeker. Her name is Nitty Knits. You can find her on TikTok. She's got an interesting theory about a former prime minister that many of us have had as well. I'm going to play that for you tonight a little bit later on in the show. All right, so let's begin with this story from the taxpayer-funded left-wing corporate CBC. Mark Carney is expected to launch his Liberal leadership bid next week. He's backed by 30 MPs, allegedly. That's from a source. A source. We can't tell you who the source is. So Mark Carney, carbon tax Carney, as he's known by the Conservatives, is expected to formally announce his bid to replace Justin Trudeau late next week. A source close to the campaign, his campaign, told CBC News. The source, who spoke on the condition they not be named because they were not authorized to speak publicly, said Carney has more than 30 MPs backing him out of 153. That's not bad, I guess. The source suggested he picked up support after Finance Minister Dominique LeBlanc closed the door on leadership earlier this week. Carney, who more recently was the blah, 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 blah. We don't need that stuff. Who's in and who's out? Well, Frank Baylis, the guy who was accused of funneling money to his company back in 2020 when he was a Liberal MP. He's confirmed as a candidate, as is Chandra Arya, the Liberal MP from Nepean. Oh, by the way, we've got some video. He was interviewed on the CBC today, Arya was, and here it is.
How's your French?
No.
No? No French?
No French.
Okay. The Liberal Party of Canada is the party of official bilingualism. It's going to be a tough one. I don't speak French either, so
The point is that whether the Quebecers or English Canadians, it's not the language that matters, it's what is that they deliver to them.
But the language matters very much in Quebec.
No French. The language doesn't matter in Quebec, apparently. If you don't speak French, you're good to go in Quebec. That's what Chandra Arya thinks. And this guy lives in Ottawa. It's a border city, man. I mean, Ottawa is known as Ottawa-Gatineau. Used to be Ottawa-Hull. The population combined is about 1.3 million people. There are hundreds of thousands, or at least tens of thousands of people every single day that cross those bridges to work in either Gatineau, living in Ottawa, or vice versa. But this guy, for some reason, thinks that French, the language, is not a real big thing in Quebec. Anyway, Anita Anand, she's considering it. She's a cabinet minister currently. Mark Carney apparently will launch his campaign next week. And by the way, the Liberals hope to have a new leader chosen by March the 9th, as this prorogation is over on March 24th. That's when Parliament's going back, unless, of course, that Cork challenge is successful. Christy Clark is considering a run. She's the former BC Premier. Chrystia Freeland considering. Karina Gould, currently the Liberal House leader. And Rude is considering a run. Steve McKinnon, he's considering. I think he's the Minister of Industry, Trade, Labor. Minister of Labor right now. Jonathan Wilkinson, the snide Liberal MP from North Vancouver, is considering a run. Not running. Dominique LeBlanc and Melanie Joly. They say they need to concentrate on the Canadian relationship with the United States right now, considering those nasty tariffs that Donald Trump wants to impose on us. All right, Abacus. Here is the latest polling number we have from Abacus, federal vote intention. And by the way, these numbers were put together just a couple of days ago. The poll ran earlier this week and came out late last night or early this morning. The Conservatives hold a considerable lead here, up 2 points, 47%. That's up 2 from December 17th. The Liberals, no change, 20%. The NDP's no change at 18%. The Bloc, 8%, no change there. The Green, down 1 at 3%. The People's Party, down 1. From 4 to 3%. people who are certain to vote, the people they talk to are from a wide variety, right? Like they're from all across the country, and some of them may vote and some of them may not. But if they do vote, this is how they're going to vote. These are the people who are certain to place a ballot. I am absolutely voting no matter what. 49 goes up even more for the Conservatives to 49. The Liberals come down to 19, the NDP 18, the Bloc at 9, the Green at 2. I don't know how that's even possible. Even 2%. And the People's Party is at 3%. So there you go. It looks like a clean sweep for the Conservative Party. Who's really running the Conservatives? Is it Pierre Poilievre, or is it a bunch of shady backroom guys? Oil executives, or, the guys you saw around Dr. Evil's table from Austin Powers. This is Elizabeth May. I'm sure you know that face. In this story from Rebel News, Elizabeth May is demanding the online harms bill, C-63, be rushed through Parliament after prorogation. That's not going to happen. The bill has been criticized for its potential to increase censorship under the guise of combating online hate. Sheila Gunn Reid is the one who posted this story. Elizabeth May calling for urgent cross-party collaboration to save several pieces of legislation following the prorogation of Parliament, including portions of C-63. The bill is branded online harms, curtails free speech, and expands government control over online content. We know exactly what team she is playing for, Elizabeth May. So that's not going to happen, because the person who is going to be winning the Liberal leadership, whether it's Chandra Arya, Mark Carney, in my opinion, whoever it is going to be prime minister for about 2 weeks before they come back. And when they come back, they have to do a speech from the throne, which is an automatic confidence vote. And if the NDP stays true to their word, and this is a big if, then that government's coming down and there's going to be an election, and that's probably going to be sometime third week of April, maybe the fourth week of April. We'll see. It depends on how long the Liberals decide they want the campaign to be. What else have I got here? A couple of Manitoba stories. Southeastern Manitoba School Division impacted by a data breach. What? What do you mean a data breach? Who's got my data? Well, that's just the thing. We don't know. Oh, I got to make this bigger. All right, hang on a second. Bing, bing, bing. There we go. Local school divisions. This, by the way, comes from Steinbach Online, where they're having their third Smart City meeting next Wednesday night at the City Hall foyer. Hang out in the hallway. We'll tell you all about the plan here in the hallway. So local school divisions, apparently up to 80% of all school divisions in Manitoba, are dealing with the aftermath of a data breach. On Wednesday, the Hanover, Seine River, and Borderland school divisions reported student and staff information had been accessed due to a cybersecurity incident in late December. The divisions were notified of the breach by Power School Tuesday, like a week and a half later. Each division explained their student information provider, called Power School, was the target of the incident, not their individual organizations. As such, Power School customers throughout Canada and the U.S. have been impacted. Oh no, if Power School is running your kids' or grandkids' information, data, then maybe you should look into this. Seine River School Division said an investigation into its internal log showed the types of information that could have been exported, including students' names, date of birth, home phone numbers, home addresses, doctors' names, phone numbers, sibling information within the division, Manitoba Education and Training, MET number, gender, grade level, homeroom, parent, guardian names, all could have been compromised. General staff information, name, phone number, email, employee ID, school location ID may have been involved as well. Each division said no banking information had been accessed as a result of the incident, and noted they're looking into the extent of it. So if these people have got all of this information about the kids, wouldn't it make trafficking a little bit easier? You can find these kids. These kids are young kids, maybe grade 2, grade 3, kindergarten even. You can find these kids where they are and their parents aren't. That's terrible. Healthcare worker fired for racist post about murder victims. All right. So the story goes, a rural Manitoba healthcare worker has lost their job. They're not naming male or female here, I guess, in order to protect their identity. After making online comments critical of a landfill search for remains of Indigenous women, comments that the Interlake Eastern Regional Health Authority said were racist. Of course, everything's racist these days. They abuse the word racist to the point where actual racism doesn't get called out. Or if it does, it gets lumped in with all the fake racist claims. Interlake Eastern Regional Health Authority leadership was made aware of a social media post disparaging the search for the remains of murdered Indigenous women, which, by the way, we don't know if there even is. Multiple staff members, that's why they're doing this search. Multiple staff members recognized the post as racist and brought it forward to leadership. The Facebook post, which was posted on Sunday, has since been deleted, but a screenshot of the comments has been viewed by the Winnipeg Sun. It reads in part, quote, "Our health system in Manitoba sucks." It's true. Somebody died in the emergency room the other night at the Health Sciences Center. Our premier needs to stop worrying about dead Indians in a landfill and put some money into our healthcare system. All right, so might be a little crass, but not criminal. Certainly not worth losing your job over. IERHA said once the post was brought to their attention, there was an immediate investigation called, which confirmed the post was linked to an IERHA employee, and the health authority says it then took decisive action. We can't have a racist in our employ. Oh, for goodness sakes. Old days, I totally understand tasteless posts. You have to take action. You have to do something. But to fire somebody over something like that, how about just calling them in and saying, do better or don't do it again? How about a warning? But no. Heaven forbid they should be seen as racist by these people who brought the Facebook post to their attention in the first place. You can't let the tail wag the dog. And that's been the problem for, going on years now. Cancel culture is absolutely ridiculous. And you hope and pray that somebody somewhere is finally going to start standing up and saying, all right, sit down, shut up, grow a pair. Sticks and stones, brother. Like, really, are you that fragile? Look at this. Real estate agent banned by Ottawa Real Estate Board for anti-pride comments now. So he made a comment on social media criticizing LGBTQ pride. Ottawa Real Estate Board, a private board that provides listing services to real estate agents in the city, banned Mark Papineau, a 14-year agent, from doing business with the organization after he failed to pay a fine it levied against him for the comments. In a lengthy 2023 social media post, Papineau said he doesn't think LGBT pride should be celebrated for an entire month when veterans only get one day to be recognized. He also said drag shows aren't appropriate for kids, that sexual preference should be a topic only discussed by adults, and for that he gets banned. Following the comments, the Reddit activists filed complaints against Papineau to both the Real Estate Council of Ontario, the regulatory body for the industry in the province, and the Ottawa Real Estate Board. And they said, all right, fine, you can't do business with us anymore. And by the way, access to that kind of information that now Papineau can't have access to is absolutely vital to be a real estate agent. You need that information. Without it, it's like walking through a room blindfolded, barefoot, in a room full of mousetraps. It's pointless. Oh, we're moving into the fire. Before we move into the LA fire here, and this is where the show is going to get a little bit tonight, I want to play the Mel Gibson, Joe Rogan stuff. It's about 4 minutes long from 3 different segments of Joe Rogan from the show that was released yesterday. The first segment is in the first half hour of the show where Mel is still a little bit uncomfortable saying certain things. And then the next segment from the middle where he's getting a little more comfortable. And then finally towards the end, he kind of lets fly. By the way, they do make a reference in the show, Mel does, that his house is right in the fire zone and could be toast, quite literally toast, as he's sitting there. in Joe Rogan's studio in Texas. And that is, in fact, what happened. Mel Gibson's house burned to the ground. So here we go. This is Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson.
Yeah, we were just talking about the wildfire situation and how crazy it is that they spent $24 billion last year on the homeless.
Yeah.
And what did they spend on preventing these wildfires?
Zero.
Zip.
And in 2019, I think Newsom said, I'm going to take care of the forests and maintain the forests and do all that kind of stuff. He didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything. And then on top of that, they cut the water off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all funny. And then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad. It's like the place is just on fire.
Well, the whole state is just so poorly managed. It's so it's so frustrating and confusing. And then he gets on TV and pretends like everything's great. Mm-hmm. And California's the best. We have the best state. We have the most amazing economy. And like, you're out of your fucking mind, dude. You've ruined this state. Like, personally ruined it.
Well, it's the same team that was up in San Francisco, and they came down to L.A., and they're doing what they did in San Francisco. And
yeah,
San Francisco's kind of like apocalyptic now,
Yeah.
I went there, and it's just like.
See how quiet he is, Mel, at this stage of the game? He's just, trying to be funny and cute, Newsom's hair gel and whatnot. Okay, let's keep watching.
People, homeless, it's a mess.
It's just unbelievable that society can crumble that quickly.
Mm-hmm. It
really is unbelievable.
It doesn't take long.
No.
Yeah. I read a book once by Jared Diamond called Collapse. Mm-hmm. Have you ever read that book?
Yeah.
Crazy, right? It says all the things you need for a civilization to cave in and collapse. And a lot of the things are present. All those earmarks, the precursors of a collapse, they're present in our time. So it's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a good story.
Okay.
I have 3 friends. All 3 of them had stage 4 cancer. All 3 of them don't have cancer right now at all. And they had some serious stuff going on.
And what did they take?
Jesus. They took some, what you've heard they've taken.
Ivermectin.
Fenbendazole.
Fenbendazole. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm hearing that a lot.
They drank hydrochloride something or other.
There's studies on that now where people have proven that
people drinking methylene blue and stuff like that.
Yeah, methylene blue, which was a fabric dye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a textile dye. And now they find it has profound effects on your mitochondria.
Yep.
Yeah.
This stuff works, man.
There's a lot of stuff that does work, which is very strange because, again, it's profit. When you hear about things that are demonized and that turn out to be effective, you always wonder, well, what is going on here? Mm-hmm. How is our medical institutions, how have they failed us so that things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable?
When they appoint some cardinal in some diocese and he's been covering up for like people who are child molesters,
yes.
Or, like Theodore McCarrick or Cardinal Wuerl or those kind of guys. I mean,
or the Pope.
Yes, absolutely. I'm
Benedict.
Not Benny. Well, he was covering up, but so is the guy now.
Is he really?
Well, yeah. It's not great.
I thought he was like the more progressive Pope.
Oh, he's very progressive, yes,
but he's covering up for stuff as well. Well, they all are. I mean, it's a dark institution in a lot of ways because it's history. Mm-hmm.
Well, the institution, it was instituted by Christ, but that doesn't mean that it can't be flawed. And there's a school of thought that says it isn't what it purports to be anymore. It's moved away from what it was intended to be and what it is. Almost, there's a guy called Bishop Vigano who says it's a counterfeit parallel church. And it's running an entirely different religion.
Isn't it interesting that you can see a screenshot on YouTube or whatever social media platform of somebody like Mel Gibson or whoever Joe Rogan is interviewing with that maroon drape or that burgundy drape behind them, and you instantly know that it's Joe Rogan before you ever see the title of the video because he's so popular. And everybody knows he uses that burgundy drape behind his guest. You just know it. Wow. It's like without a logo or a trademark, he does that thing at the beginning of all of his videos. Joe Rogan Experience. But just that purple drape. Wow. That's beyond me. And just a little marketing thing that I noticed there. All right, let's talk about Los Angeles. I think last night we touched on this a little bit, that Los Angeles is a smart city and whatnot. So there's a guy called Ted Ross, and he is the chief information officer for the city of Los Angeles. At least he was in 2020 when he released this video. And they're absolutely not shy about telling the people of Los Angeles, telling the world, the people of the world, exactly what their plans for that city are. Let's watch.
Hi, my name is Ted Ross, Chief Information Officer at the City of Los Angeles. As you know, we live in a world full of urban challenges, from traffic congestion that takes our time and pollutes our environment, to natural disasters that threaten the safety of our communities. To address these challenges, Los Angeles looks to smart city technology that can positively transform our urban environment. Technology has transformed almost every facet of our lives. According to the Pew Research Group, 81% of Americans connect with each other through handheld smartphones, and 71% are active on social media. Our nation has fundamentally become digital, connected, and online. Likewise, at the City of Los Angeles, technology is fundamental to how we function in managing traffic, planning our communities, engaging our constituencies, and protecting our residents. Through the coordination of both existing and emerging smart city technologies, we are positioned to transform the way we live, work, and move around LA. In LA, we believe smart cities are much more than software you purchase or sensors that you install in the cityscape. A smart city is an integrated, intelligent, urban ecosystem comprised of multiple ingredients that must work together for the benefit of the public. This would include, first, smart city infrastructure. This is the physical technology used to deliver smart city technologies, such as Department of Transportation's ATSAC traffic management system, which uses 4,500 connected traffic intersections to reduce travel time by more than 13%, or the Public Works Street Lighting's 165,000 LED street lamps that saves $3 million a year in electricity. Second are smart city data tools. This is the ability to share information across the smart city when you need it, where you need it, such as Sanitation's Clean Streets program that proactively improves street cleanliness across 6,500 miles of LA streets.
So look at how flowery it is. Oh my God, we're saving millions of dollars and we're connecting everybody together. And it's absolutely amazing, this technology.
Our Data Science Federation, which every semester matches university data scientists in training with LA urban challenges. Third is Smart City Digital Services, which are the apps and websites used to digitally deliver city services to the public, including the award-winning MyLA 311 mobile app, providing access to 1,500 city services through your smartphone, or the Shake Alert LA app that provides up to 45 seconds of advance warning of a coming earthquake. Fourth are smart city connectivity and digital inclusion. This is the work that we do to ensure that all LA communities and businesses have access to the internet. It includes the distribution of over 5,000 computers by the City of LA to families in need through our Cycle LA program. And finally is smart city governance. This is how we coordinate investments in smart.
Everybody has to have a computer so we can keep our eyes on you.
City efforts across all of our 42 city departments. In fact, the City of Los Angeles is a founding member of the I3 Consortium, along with the University of Southern California and 90 other partners, which has built an open source Internet of Things data aggregator as a smart city data marketplace. As you can see, LA's vision for becoming a smart city.
And amazing. Remember, this came out like 4 years ago. So at that point, they weren't shy about calling it a smart city, right? These days, it's not a smart city. I don't know what you're talking about. It's not a 15-minute city either. I mean, that's just urban folklore. It's conspiracy theory.
Is already becoming a reality. As a 3-time United States Digital City Award winner, the City of Los Angeles has been investing in the infrastructure, the apps, and the data tools to be a globally recognized smart city. But as technology evolves, so our smart city must evolve too. That's why we have developed our Los Angeles Smart City Strategy, known as Smart LA 2028, as a roadmap to the 2028 Summer Olympics. It includes 56 new goals that use technology to transform the way we live, work, and move around LA.
Transform the way we live, work, and move around. Did anybody ask for that? Did any elected representative run on that? Do you know of anything like that? I certainly don't. There's a guy called Errol Weber. I'm going to throw him up on the screen here. Errol Weber is a cinematographer of the Oscar-winning Music by Prudence, Sundance-winning American Promise. He's a filmmaker. He's a documentary maker. And he posted this on his social media. I think it was day before yesterday. It's the history of Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. This is actually quite disturbing.
3. Remember this date, but first, let me introduce you to Karen Bass. Back in the 1970s, community activist Karen Bass went on at least 15 trips to Cuba, many with a group known as the Venceremos Brigade, a Marxist group started by the Castro regime to subvert American interests, weaken democracies, and spread communism around the world. Founded in 1969, the Venceremos Brigade organized trips to Cuba every year for half a century. They attracted the most radicalized and delusional segments of the American left, including overtly Maoist and pro-Soviet communist groups. In fact, a Los Angeles police investigator who infiltrated the group testified to Congress saying that to be a member of the brigade, you had to be confirmed as a Marxist-Leninist. As a brigadista and then moving up the ranks to organizer for the Venceremos Brigade, Karen Bass visited Cuba every 6 months. Their mission? To radicalize young, impressionable American leftists in terrorist tactics and guerrilla warfare. Members of the Venceremos Brigade were even taught how to make bombs. Karen Bass admits, on her many pilgrimages to Cuba, she went to see Fidel Castro speak several times, even calling him charismatic. And upon his death, praised him, saying, "The passing of Commandant en Jefe is a great loss to the people of Cuba, even though the people of Cuba see him as a dictator who impoverished their island." Another group, the M19, took its belief in revolutionary anti-imperialism to extremes, violent extremes. The M19 was the first and only women-created and women-led domestic terrorist group. Since their founding in 1978, M19's tactics escalated from robbing armored trucks and abetting prison breaks to building their own explosives and carrying out terrorist bombings. From 1983 to 1984, M19 bombed an FBI office, the Israel Aircraft Industries building, the South African consulate in New York, DC's Fort McNair, and Navy Yard, which they bombed twice. But that wasn't enough for them. On the night of November 7, 1983, the M19 called the US Capitol switchboard and warned them to evacuate the building. Minutes later, the M19 bombed the north wing of the US Capitol. November 7, 2023 marks 40 years since the M19's bombing of the US Capitol. Members of the M19, like Susan Rosenberg, traveled to Cuba with and were radicalized by the Venceremos Brigade. The South Los Angeles Venceremos Brigade was led by Karen Bass, who is now mayor of Los Angeles.
Whoop, whoop. I don't even know what to say to you. I mean, a trained Marxist who mourned the death of a ruthless dictator is the mayor of Los Angeles. Like this is what's happened to our countries, to the Western societies. We have allowed these people into our political system and they've infiltrated at every level, state, municipal, school boards even, obviously provincial in Canada, federal. They're everywhere. So let's just say that Pierre Poilievre does get elected prime minister in Canada. He's even said this. He said this on the Jordan Peterson podcast a few weeks ago. He said, look, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do this by myself. I've got a lot of resistance I'm going to have to cut through, from mayors of big cities across the country, even to smaller cities. He's going to need our help. And one thing he does say that I think is quite interesting: politics is not a spectator sport. It's a participation sport. We're all still going to have to stay very involved. Here is a from the Atlantic magazine article, I suppose. I went to verify whether Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, was in fact a Marxist, and here she is. When Karen Bass went to work in Castro's Cuba, and she was like, look at this. In 1973, Karen Bass, and this was done 4 or 5 years ago, this article, who's now a potential Biden VP pick, traveled to Cuba with the Venceremos Brigade. Didn't have any illusions. The people in Cuba had the same freedoms I did. Yeah, okay, whatever. You got a Marxist, a trained Marxist, as the mayor of Los Angeles. Who's she working with, I wonder? Is she working with the Chinese? Is she working with the World Economic Forum? Kind of like Jody Gondek in Calgary? Now, I can't say for sure that Jody Gondek is a Marxist because I don't have any proof of that, but that whole water thing that Calgary went through this past summer, and I'm not sure, you're still going through it in Calgary? It took way longer than it should have to fix that, and all kinds of people went without, got fined, and they needed that water for their business, for their livelihoods. They pay for it. Anyway, let's get back to the fire here. What have I got for you guys? Oh, all right. So here's a story from, let's see here, Straight Arrow News. Not sure where this publication is from, sand.com. Citizens help arrest suspect on suspicion of arson near LA's Kenneth Fire. Citizens help arrest. A suspect was arrested for arson in connection with at least one of the wildfires in the Los Angeles area. It's all thanks to a group of residents trying to protect their neighborhood. Speaking of residents of neighborhoods, from KTLA in Los Angeles, here is video of what one homeowner / eyewitness witnessed going on in her neighborhood as the flames were burning.
I saw men coming into our neighborhoods. Police confirmed it. She had this to say. Take a listen.
It was wild. We just started seeing all these cars pull up, doors open, and groups of men running up our street, going up to the doors of these houses. And we weren't sure what was going on. I'm thinking, are these people here to help my neighbors? I hope so. And I left, and then my husband talked to the police and said, what are those guys doing? These guys don't live here. Get them out. My next door neighbor said, his quote, there were like 100 people that came up on scooters and were trying to get into any and all houses on the street.
And did you physically see police officers stopping them?
I didn't, but it's not to say that they weren't. It was so incredibly chaotic, and I was so worried about my big family and getting them out of our old tinderbox of a house that I was just focused on them first.
Isn't that interesting? And as the politicization of all of this rages between Donald Trump and Gavin Newsom and mayors and all of that on social media mostly, Gavin Newsom has launched an investigation as to why there's no water pressure in the fire hydrants. How come we can't get any water? This guy has single-handedly, in my opinion, intentionally wrecked California, the infrastructure of it, knowing that these kinds of things happen in that city, these fires. I mean, we've heard about California fires for years, decades even. But they've always, at least up until the last few years, been prepared to deal with it. And now they're completely helpless. And homes, big and small, are burning down everywhere in rich parts of California, Malibu, Santa Monica. We're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of homes. So all of these Marxist actors, Hollywood actors, it's something I find a little bit amusing, and I probably shouldn't. I should not smile. I should not take any pleasure in somebody losing their home, even if it's a rich Hollywood asshole. But these people were probably on TV during the presidential campaign going, Kamala, I'm with Kamala. And now look, they're not going to be, like Adam Carolla was saying last night, they're not going to be able to get permits to rebuild. They're not even going to be probably allowed back on their property for months, if ever. Same thing that happened in Hawaii, remember? So here's video. This is weird. I'm going to play this a couple of times for you guys. It was sent to me last night by Michael. Thank you, Michael, for this. I didn't know what it was at first, so I had to watch it again. It looked like the opening of hell in the sky to me. And then I went, oh no, it's just a palm tree. But this palm tree in this video is burning, just started to burn, set itself on fire, it looks like. And it's nowhere near any of the other fires. Let's have a look here.
How the fuck does that even happen? Wrong.
I think we need to play that again. I'm not sure if that's a firefighter. By the way, language warning. I know, a little bit late. Day late and a buck short. Palm tree just bursts into flames.
How the fuck does that even happen? Wrong.
What? How the F does that even happen? Indeed. What the hell's going on? What are they doing? And how are they doing it? And probably you guys are going to say in comments, HARP, directed energy weapon, HARP. Oh, look, there's directed. Thank you, David, for that. And now we're getting into conspiratorial territory, because that's never been confirmed or proven about these things, right? At least not the way that we're talking about them. We've heard government officials talk about these things, but never to the point where they can direct it and they can do these kinds of things that they're doing, or it seems as though they're doing. But I find it all very interesting. How much time have we got left here before the top of the hour? What should I do? Okay, here's what we're going to do. The other day, Mark Zuckerberg talked about, we're going to get rid of the fact checkers. We're going to replace it with an X-style community notes thing, so no more censorship, everybody was thinking. Right? But it's only going to be in the United States, at least to begin with. And then he's hoping that it's going to spread to other countries with the help of the U.S. federal government putting pressure on these other countries to allow freedom of speech again. And I would assume that includes Canada, even though Poilievre says he's going to get rid of all that stuff when he becomes prime minister. Anyway, he didn't say anything about this deranking thing that they do. And this happens on X as well. By the way, Elon Musk has been taking away blue check marks from people he doesn't agree with in the past couple of weeks. He has been, even though he's Mr. Freedom of Speech, right? Zuckerberg didn't say he was going to stop the shadow banning aspect of Facebook and Instagram. This show is so heavily shadow banned. And I think what happened today was an absolute obvious thing. I went and looked at Facebook at around 2:00 this afternoon, went to my page, and it wouldn't come up. And then it did about 15 minutes later, and they had taken my followers away from this page. I went, where's the followers? You can usually see the followers right on the front page, but nope. And then another couple of hours, they let him back. But I noticed that last night's show, in terms of viewers, hadn't moved at all from last night. And I went, wait a minute. Usually by this point, it's doubled in size, viewer size, from the night before. But it hadn't moved. And the same thing with Wednesday night show with Jasmine Lane as well. You should follow her on YouTube, by the way. So I'm thinking, have they completely, I knew that this page was completely stifled, but not to this extent where nothing moved today. I posted a picture of a bunny rabbit, a cute little bunny rabbit, which I've done in the past to try and get rid of these algorithmic blockers, which absolutely strangle the life out of a post. And guess what? Usually a post like that will get 2,000 likes and many, many shares. This cute little bunny picture today, and maybe it's because of the dialogue I wrote on the post, maybe got 120, 130 likes, which is ridiculous when you've got 57,000 followers. So definitely Facebook is strangling, and X is too. Don't be fooled by these guys. Don't be fooled. Hey, come on, go ahead and say whatever you want. We're not gonna take you down. Yeah, you can go ahead and say what you want, but nobody's gonna see it. So this is something interesting. Came from Z Media. Maria Z, you guys know her. She put this up on her X today. Simon Dixon was holding a, what do they call those things on X? Spaces conversation. And Simon Dixon, who is an investment, he's a big investment guy. He's talking about this X credit score coming. X? You mean like Twitter X? Yeah. So Karen Kingston messaged me this afternoon and said, please listen to this. Please listen to this. And I did. And I went, well, I got to put this on the show tonight. So you guys go ahead, listen to this. There's no video on this. There's only audio, but listen.
Yeah, look, everyone just needs to welcome to the future. So look, there's a reason why you're able to talk and say whatever you want to say, but you're not going to have freedom of reach. So you got on this space, you can say whatever you want. We're all just algorithms. Everything you're saying is a weapon that's going to be used against you. So everything that you're saying right now is making up the foundations of your social credit score. And if we haven't figured out the PSYOP yet, as we currently speak, Elon Musk and X are applying for state-level money transmitters across the United States of America in 52 different states and around the world. Very soon, this will be a financial services provider. I used to live in Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong, we used WeChat for most of our transactions. The difference between China and America is that America thinks that they're not being used in the same way that they are being used in China. China has a culture of knowing that the government has overreach, but in America, they don't think that their FICO score plus their social credit score, or let's say their social media score, plus everything that comes together to make up your profile to determine whether you're able to be a debt slave to the financial system or not. Now, when X becomes a regulated financial services company, it has a legal obligation by punishment of prison in order to file suspicious activity reports for anything that they think is suspicious, as defined in the Patriot
This guy's
Act.
really smart, guys. Listen up. This guy Simon's really smart.
As defined in the Patriot Act and the Bank Secrecy Act. In those, everything I have been posting on X since 2009. It knows everything that I have wanted to say publicly since 2009. And in the year since October the 7th or so, everything that I have said about the genocide and everything about those opinions, all of that is making up the algorithm right now. And he will continue to allow us to talk, because the more we talk, the more truth he understands about us. It's not that it wants to be promoted or not. He'll still promote the messages. The algorithm will promote the messages that they want, but they want you to continue talking. Now, when you file your suspicious activity reports, there is going to be so much in our profiles that has to be analyzed in conjunction with our financial transactions. Once X knows how we spend, what we spend on, and everything we say and publicly say, is going to need artificial intelligence in order to analyze that and automatically file those reports. And so the Grok is the part that will be analyzing all of the data, automatically filing reports to regulators. Regulators are going to get swamped and overwhelmed with all of this data. And eventually it's going to disrupt regulators, because regulators are going to have to hire artificial intelligence to analyze all of the suspicious activity reports that are being sent to them, because they can't humanly keep up, which is what Mark Zuckerberg wants to do as well. And so eventually, artificial intelligence is what's going to take over regulations. It's going to take over the ability for even the central banks to operate. And that's all going to be powered by artificial intelligence. And the technocrats, they all want to be the back end of the system. If they wanted freedom of speech, this would be done open source and decentralized, where we could all analyze the algorithm and we could understand what people are doing. But there's not open source because the reason is that they're trying to create a honeypot, and that honeypot is our social credit score. And that social credit score, you'll be accidentally walking into it. And the funny thing is, there ain't a damn thing we can do about it because we're all addicted to our ability to actually call out the things and say the things that we're able to say and have a platform to do it. And so this is the direction that it's headed to. And everyone just needs to recognize it, that freedoms are being taken away. This is the new flavor of, neo, freedom of speech. Yeah, we need to fight against it. Eventually, we need to be on a decentralized platform, and we need to do this open source. At the moment, all of the network effect is here, but eventually, hopefully, it implodes on itself, and we end up on a decentralized platform because they try too hard, gain too much power, and the whole thing bloody blows up on itself. Welcome to the future.
So what open source platforms are there out there? Well, I don't know. Telegram, I think, might be, but compromised. Signal, compromised. There's one called Gab. And the owners of Gab are fiercely dedicated to free speech and autonomy. Other than that, but nobody ever talks about Gab. I wonder why. Very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. We've been thinking about that for a while. So go ahead and say all you want. You got freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. We don't want your message getting out to anybody. Heaven forbid you should enlighten somebody. But go ahead and say it. Our algorithms will just drag it down. It's the equivalent, seriously, of throwing something into the very bottom of a garbage can. Like, you ever look in the bottom of a garbage can for anything? No, of course not. You don't. Even if you know it's there, because you don't want to get filthy. All right, one more thing before we go to the extension tonight. And by the way, we're going to run an excerpt from, thank you for this, Jan, by the way. There's this 10-part series came out a few years back called Europa, The Last Battle. Some of you are familiar with it. We're going to run an excerpt from that, about 18, 19 minutes long, in the extension tonight. It's very eye-opening. Very eye-opening. But I'm not sure it's all necessarily factual. You see, these are the things we really have to concern ourselves with, right? Or if it is entirely factual, is it told from only one side of those facts? Because that's what debates are all about, right? Arguing facts. Your impression of the facts, my impression of the facts, not my truth, my impression, my takeaway from those facts. One more thing before we go. Stephen Harper. We've all heard he's a member of the Committee of 300. He's the one that got us into this mess in the first place. No, that was Brian Mulroney back in 1992, but it's not like Stephen Harper fought to get us out. But is Stephen Harper the kingpin? Like, is he the big guy or one of the big guys behind all of this? I think maybe for one of the regions he is. He is in control of a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff. So there's this young lady called Nitty Knits. You can find her on TikTok, and she's a left-wing version, in my opinion, a left-wing version of Tiana Truthseeker. Not quite as colorful as Tiana, but she's still pretty colorful. Most of the stuff she posts on her TikTok is either knitting, because Nitty Knits, or left-wing stuff about, from the river to the sea and all of that. But in this particular, and maybe she is just a left-wing influencer who is trying to, throw us off. But again, you guys have heard the rumbles about Stephen Harper, right? And is he the one who's really leading the Conservative Party even now? Why won't Pierre Poilievre stop funding this ridiculous war in Ukraine? Why doesn't he go harder on all of this illegal immigration? He's starting to, but he still hasn't said we're going to throw people out. You got to say that stuff if you're an actual conservative. He hasn't said it yet. A lot of people are saying, well, it's not politically expedient to say that in Canada. We're such a left-wing nation. He'd lose points. He'd lose the election. Trudeau would win again. And maybe that's true. But maybe he can't say those things because his boss tells him he can't say those things. Anyway, I want you guys to watch Nitty Knits here, talk about Stephen Harper, and I want you to write in the comments what you think. And I'm going to look at all that stuff as well, because I don't know what to think yet. I'm still analyzing all of this.
Hi, I'm back. I missed all of you. I'm very excited to be here. A couple days ago, I posted on Blue Sky and I said that I felt like the Conservatives had a billionaire in their back pocket, and I was going to tell you who I think it is. And then Justin Trudeau was like, hey, I'm going to quit, and this is going to be the leading headline. But I've decided that while everybody's over there watching what the Liberals are doing, I'm going to tell you what I think the puppeteer who's controlling the Conservative Party is doing and who it is. Have you ever seen this logo before? This logo is going to be one of the most important conversations we ever have. Oz Ventures is a capital fund that has 3 locations: Canada, Israel, and the United States. It was launched in 2016, and even though it was launched in Canada, its entire goal was to invest in Israeli-based companies that were producing artificial technologies, advanced militarized technologies, cybersecurity, you name it. But I said I was going to tell you who I thought was in control of the Conservative Party of Canada and where their money was coming from. Why on earth would I be talking about a company that's based in Toronto but developing technology for the Israeli government to effectively eradicate Palestinians? How would those things be linked? Stephen Harper. It's Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper is a partner and president of this company. And this company that Stephen Harper is a partner in has invested at least $300 million, but estimates are that it's substantially higher because they have done one hell of a job to hide their money. And the things that they're investing in are literally how to eradicate other human beings using super sketchy AI and crazy face recognition software and the most wild dystopian militarized shit you've ever heard of. But it's not just Stephen Harper. There's a former MI5 director, a former CSIS director, a former CIA director, and the former director of the Israeli military occupation. But wait, there's more. More FBI, more IDF, more elite Israeli intelligence special forces, more Israeli police forces, more Israeli intelligence, and Israeli infrastructure. This company is also investing directly into the Israeli military. They're not just investing privately. They're also directly investing into what is supposed to be a public entity. One of the private companies that Oz has invested in is something called Coresight, and it's an AI technology that does face recognition, but it's so advanced and it's so good that it can even recognize people when their faces are covered. That is fucking terrifying. And Coresight has been using the invasion since October 2023 to test their face recognition software to make sure that it is as good as they think it is, even though they keep having to blow up like hospitals and schools and stuff because they think that there might be terrorists inside those buildings. I digress. Their plan is to basically test this technology to see if it works, and then Stephen Harper has been shopping it to other countries. I'm not fucking kidding. So Oz does seem to have a first and foremost priority to serve Israel, but then their secondary piece is to make these products commercially viable and to be sold to the commercial sector. So it seems like they're serving governments, but also plan to sell this back to private companies like a fucking movie theater who can recognize people's facial reactions. I don't know. Why do we need this technology? And the only thing that they invest in is security and intelligence technologies that could have a military or commercial application. It's their thing. It's literally their thing. Now, this next part is really just me hypothesizing based on the breadcrumbs that I was able to find. Stephen Harper, during his time as Prime Minister, loosened the regulations around banking compliance and reporting and made it easier for people to offshore money, specifically Canadians to offshore money. By deregulating a lot of these safety nets, he effectively made it so that he could hide money anywhere. After he left office, he started the IDU, which has effectively dismantled democracy on a global scale. Something that I've noticed with the IDU's practices is they go into places that are extremely resource rich but democracy poor and help far right ideology to continue to take hold and either get elected or stay elected and stay in power in these places. I don't think he's doing it out of the kindness of his heart, and I would assume that he's making a shit ton of money doing that. But from a public declaration standpoint, it's estimated that his net worth is only $7 million. This is the guy who's the chairman of an international organization that's working with actual dictators. There's no way he's not making some crazy money off of that. In 2016, he also started Oz Venture Capital that successfully invested in all of these militarized applications and AI technology and face recognition and all of this crazy software that has huge financial value to it, and yet he still has this stagnant net worth. I don't buy it for a second. Pair that with the fact that he just got access to the Aimco fund that has an estimated value of $160 billion, and we know that he misappropriated funds from the conservative fundraising account while he was overseeing that for 4 years. And I have a feeling that a whole bunch of this $160 billion is going to end up invested in Oz. It's going to end up perpetuating AI technologies that effectively eradicate humans that stand in opposition of far-right ideology. I completely understand that the important conversation of the day is the fact that Justin Trudeau has just stepped down. And I think that that's something that definitely needs to be talked about. But there's a lot of other voices who are covering that. So I'm going to continue to look over here and see what the puppet master is doing. Because since Stephen Harper left office in 2015, he's effectively launched an organization that's systematically destroying democracy on a global scale and aligning itself with totalitarian regimes that are exploiting people and literally murdering their own population to acquire more resources. He also launched an investment fund that has funneled so much fucking money into the Israeli Defense Fund and technologies that are eradicating a population, and that population is being used as R&D to figure out if this tech works and if they can sell it to other totalitarian regimes.
All right, so you can see her left-wing ideology showing in this hypothesis. But as we analyze all of the information that she put out there, I did check it. I didn't have a lot of time to check it because I was on phone calls this afternoon nonstop from 1 till 5 o'clock. So I did check it, and it does check out. All of the things she says regarding Stephen Harper's involvement with big money checks out, except for the International Democracy Fund. I don't see that as being a problem. She does. But remember, so many people have said for such a long time that we're talking about two wings of the same bird here, right? And I have stated in the past, we're dealing with more than one cabal. The question is there a puppet master who is puppeteering all of these cabals at the very top, or are they all working against each other? And is there a reason for all of this in the first place? When you ask that question, why? You get to the next level. Why? David Icke has an answer for that. The video that I showed last night on the extension on shadowdavis.com for the all access members. We've talked about the satanic rituals and the Masonic rituals and the adrenochrome and all of that stuff. But again, you have to ask why, even though we can't put ourselves into the headspace of these elitists, the ones who put themselves in these kinds of positions, Epstein Island, all of those types. Ultimately, again, you have to ask the question, why? Is it about power? Don't they have enough of that already? Is it about money? Once again, don't they have enough of that already? Is it about serving their dark master, or is there something else going on? David Icke seems to have the answers for that. There are a few people across the world who seem like they have it figured out, but I say a few people. And we're running across more and more of them as this show continues. I find it fascinating. And once we get the opportunity to sit down and listen to these people talk, it's like a kick in the groin again. Because we all of us, myself, you guys, everybody, has still got a certain level of cognitive dissonance we can't get past. And we have to, if we want to know what's really going on, I suppose. And I'm not sure if we ever really will, because there's never going to be definitive proof of any of it, at least not until we're dead. And we can look and go, from heaven, we can look and go, oh, that's what it was. All right, I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of this 10-part film called Europa, The Last Battle. It was put together by a guy called Tobias Bratt. He's a documentarian, cinematographer, filmmaker out of Sweden. He has face tattoos. He looks like the old version of alt-right. I watched the excerpt that I'm about to play on the extension tonight earlier today, and I went, oh, whoa. And then you start thinking, remember, history is written by the winners every time. So history is nothing but a propaganda tale, really. The winners write the history. So we're going to play that excerpt on the extension tonight for you all access folks on shadowdavis.com. If you're not in all access, go ahead and sign up. It's not that expensive, and I'll see you there in a couple of minutes. For the rest of you guys, I want you to have a great rest of your night, a great weekend. If something huge breaks this weekend, I'll come and do a live for you. If not, I will catch you back here on Monday night at 8 o'clock Central for another Shadow at Night live stream. All access, I'll see you in 2 minutes. I love you all. I appreciate you all, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.